So here's a great embarrassing moment I had.
Okay.
So imagine being in menopause, right?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Hot flashes, like incredible hot flashes. Right. And this was probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years into menopause, and I was still having horrible hot flashes. Okay, so I'm giving a talk to the American Counselors Association. And they're like, I don't know, maybe 800 people in the audience or something. And there I am. God, this was so awful. So I'm giving a very serious talk about couples therapy and, how difficult it is and how you have to really, just really be strong in helping your clients and blah, blah, blah. So all of a sudden, in front of everybody, I have this enormous hot flash. And the thing that really kills me is the drips between your nose and your mouth. All the drips that kind of look like, you guessed it, snot. And so there's all this dripping and dripping and dripping, and my beautiful, nice silk jacket starts to get sweat spots. Jesus Christ. And so I think, okay, my face is soaking wet. I'm dripping. I must look absolutely ridiculous. Thank God I had on waterproof makeup, which I started to wear back then. But the drips, I mean, God, they were just like pouring off me. And I felt so friggin' stupid. And I wasn't cool enough myself yet to just say, oops, it's one of those hot flashes. I didn't do that. So here's what I did instead. I made up a story. So I improvised right in the middle of the talk. And I said something like, okay, so I had this client who was really contemptuous and horrible and angry. And finally, when he finally walked out the door, I went, phew, so glad he's gone. And I'm wiping my forehead.
That's really
and putting my hand all over my face and going, phew. And I'm wiping the sweat off as part of the story.
That's brilliant, though.
It was horrible.
That's brilliant.
Oh,
I mean,
my
that's
God.
like
I was
thinking
so
on
scared.
top of, like, on your feet.
I'm good at thinking on my feet.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
that's
good
great.
at thinking on my feet. I'm not good at thinking when I'm standing on my head, but I'm good at thinking on my feet.
You said I wasn't cool enough to think that I could just say, I'm having a moment. I'm having a hot flash, or it's like, so
I could have said it,
of course, But isn't that crazy? Isn't it crazy though that, like, there's times in our lives where we go, I can't say that. I can't just say what's happening for me. You know what I mean? Like, no one's going to relate. I can't be relatable. Right. Exactly.
How could I possibly be real? I know. It was early. It was in the early days of going public.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I always used to stay in the shadows, and John was so good at giving talks and being funny and giving great stories and stuff. And I thought I was terrible at it. And so I stayed in the shadows, just stayed in the shadows. And finally, the wonderful partner we had in the Institute at the time, named Aitana Kunovsky, I'm calling you out. You were so fantastic. There you were. She inserted her foot in my back and pushed me out onto the stage and said, "You've got to talk. Come on, get out there." And so I was really terrible at first, but then I got better.
Yeah.
Except when I had menopause.
Right. Sure. But even then you were great. It's just you were dealing with the
total
symptoms.
Embarrassment.
And don't we all need, that's great that you had a friend who was just like, come on.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
But in those days, I mean, we're talking about, I don't know, the late 90s or something. And people really, I don't know, women were really kind of self-conscious about talking about menopause.
Yeah.
Nobody talked about menopause.
Yeah.
Right?
People still
Except
don't talk
with
about
their doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better now.
It's better. It's not great, but it's
not
better.
Great. Yeah. I guess it isn't, huh?
No.
It's still not great?
No, it's still not great.
God.
Yeah.
you know, it's such a part of life for
Right.
women. I mean, hopefully you live that long.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, man, this is just normal. Accept it, you public out there. So, yeah. That's interesting. I thought it had gotten a whole lot better.
No.
Really?
No.
No?
No.
Oh,
I'm
shoot.
and
That
no
weird
one could
thing.
no one could figure out. I had this thing where, okay, like for instance, I had this thing where I had a it almost felt like a frozen shoulder. It was the weirdest thing.
No, that's horrible.
But I had no reason why I would have it.
So
like I
painful.
wasn't doing anything
There
to
is
do
no
it.
reason for frozen shoulder.
Well, but then the thing is, I had it and then it went away. And I had a friend who had the same thing happen. And then I talked to someone else who was like, yeah, I have this thing. And I was like, my friend thinks it's actually menopause. And she talked to numerous friends that also had it or was having it.
Wow.
And they were also in menopause.
You're
So,
kidding.
no.
Okay, I vote menopause.
Yeah.
That's what it
but
was.
I think a lot of, I mean, we all experience it differently. And
this is true.
so, yeah. But anyways, that's another topic.
Another topic.
All right. So we do another question.